He is, oh, it's me. One moment. Need the bubbly. Okay, so I would say something real quick before we get started with the Microsoft news. Two quick things. One is just related to the Microsoft news, but it's not specific because somebody was asking me on the comments of YouTube. It's like, what do you know, how do studio closures go down and all that stuff. And it's really interesting because I've only had that happen to me once, and that was with Gabbing Games. And I've committed to Sony that I'm not going to spill specifics. I'm waiting for, I don't want him to leave, but I'm waiting for the executive who I promised that to leave so I can spill the beans, because I only really care about being loyal to him. But I don't think he would have a problem if I told you some of the details, not of the game, but of the closing. You know, the hardest part on that, because Nick and I, who ran the company with me and owned the company with me, we didn't know it was coming, but we knew there was a chance because we were doing this game for Sony, and it was something that they really were behind at first, but it was going to go through a different department that was going to partially fund it. And then Sony wanted to do it, but the other department decided to pull out. And we knew that was a possibility, but we didn't know it was really going to happen until the last minute. So I'm sitting in my van in the parking lot talking to this executive, and he's just like, yeah, we're not going to move forward with it. And so for me, it wasn't a big shock. I had been kind of dreading it because even though I didn't know it was coming, I knew that possibility was there. And I knew all we could do was bust our asses on the next milestone and try to make sure that we wowed people enough. And I think we all did a good job, but it just wasn't what the other part of Sony wanted to go with. Anyway, so the hardest part was telling the team. That was a Friday. Nick and I came in on Monday, and we said, okay, let's tell the team on Tuesday. And nobody saw it coming. And it was rough, man, because I guess because no one saw it coming. I mean, we hired a bunch of people that were veterans of video games. And so they it's like, oh, one of these things, right? People, you stick around long enough, you've seen shit like this go down. But some of the new people did not see it coming. It's like, what do you mean we aren't coming into work tomorrow? To the point that it was interesting because a bunch of those people came in the next day. Like, they were just like, I don't really know where I'm supposed to go. Can I just hang out here? And of course, I mean, yeah, of course we let them. But it was rough. It was rough. And I'll talk about that a little bit more once we get into the Microsoft stuff. But I mean, as you probably know, today, Microsoft, Xbox decided to shut down Tango Gameworks, which is Mikami's company, or was. He left. And Arcane and a couple of other smaller groups. And, a lot of people are, we can talk about whatever you guys want. This is Gabbing Games Live. You guys can call in, you can chat. This is very, vocal kind of forum, unlike a normal Gabbing Games. So, but, I mean, of course it's bad when people lose their job. Of course. But people are acting like outside of the people that are directly affected, which is horrible. Of course, I'm not making light of that, but it makes sense. People are in the chat and stuff going, like Addie Pie says, it's not bad. This is terrible. What's terrible about it, Addie Pie? I don't mean for the individuals. Of course, that's terrible. I'm not making light of people who have to go home and tell their spouses and children, oh, I'm out of work again. I have to move around again. But short of those people who are, directly suffering from it, what is so terrible about it? I mean, ultimately, people are using this as an excuse to say, well, see, Jaffe, now how do you like the acquisition you were in favor of? And I'm like, I'm still in favor of it in the sense that it what was pitched to me by Phil Spencer as a consumer is what I was in favor of, right? I thought I thought that we were going to get Call of Duties, but we were also going to be able to bring in Toys for Bob, which they got, like they are funding their next game, at least at the moment. But I thought we were going to start to get this massive machine now, even though it had been poorly managed up until the point of the acquisition, doing what Phil Spencer was publicly saying. And for all I know, if you listen to Mike Ybarra, who used to work with Phil, who then ran Blizzard, and now he's out of Blizzard, it doesn't sound like this was Phil Spencer pulling the levers either. This is a real shock and a sad day to Phil Spencer as well. But the acquisition, for me, it was the ability for Game Pass to finally have enough content to reflect the vision that had been pitched. Now what we're dealing with, obviously that may happen, may not happen. Certainly is not going to happen with these smaller games. But what seems likely, and no one has kind of come out and said anything, is that Microsoft looks at the money they made last quarter and they're like, holy shit, look at the fucking profit on the Activision with Call of Duty, basically, or King, but let's just say Call of Duty. It's like, you're telling me you guys want to spend $140 million for, you know, a follow-up to a studio that made Redfall for a single player game that, even if it's game of the year, is still not going to come close to the kind of profits we could make, that if we take that money and add, you know, 3 more satellite teams to make sure Call of Duty 5, you know, whatever the next one, 20 of them are awesome or bigger, or they're on more platforms or whatever. Of course, that's what they're going to decide. But again, I mean, we talked about this a little bit yesterday. I'm going to turn on the calls in a second. I know you guys have a lot to say. But we talked about this a little bit yesterday, that, you know, the Game Pass experiment has been, for me, pretty good, because I enjoy all the games they put on there. But I appreciate, for like core hardcore gamers, there's not a lot for them there. And in that, it doesn't look like we're going to get that kind of treasure trove of big games. And the next month there's 2 really cool Hi-Fi Rush style games. And then the next month there's an exclusive Crash that Activision and Toys for Bob made. And then there's a big game. You know, that was the idea. That was what was pitched. And that's disappointing. But to say that the concept of a subscription service doesn't work, again, until you get the vision that is promised, you're not getting the content that was promised and the frequency of that great content that was promised. And in that, you're really kind of not judging the service or the business model. You're judging the product that was on the business model, is what I would say. But Gohan says, Gohan, I like to own my games, not pay for sub services. That's great. That's fantastic. You should do that then. But that doesn't mean you're like most people. Most people really don't care. But here's, in my opinion, but here's where I think it's going to be really fascinating, this whole fucking thing. Because now that you've got Microsoft seeing the kind of money they can make, they're not going to fucking throw the ducats behind something like, hey, let's chase. You remember back in the day when Phil Spencer was like, we want our own Last of Us? They don't fucking want The Last of Us anymore. I'm not saying it's not a profitable, great game, great franchise. I'm just saying that, they're like, no, service all the way, man. Look what's happening. Sea of Thieves is outselling Stellar Blade. Stellar Blade is like number 8 on the chart. Sea of Thieves is number 3. Call of Duty tells you all you need to know. Helldivers, they wish they had Helldivers, right? So I think really what you are starting to see, they could, Addy Pie, I know they can't make The Last of Us, but if they could, they probably wouldn't greenlight it at this point. Like Player says, they want recurring revenue. Exactly. Earthworm Jim says, how many young people own games now? I think that might be their audience, the ones that are used to Spotify, Netflix, and other sub-services. Right. I mean, that's the thing. It's more than fine. I mean, obviously you don't need my fucking permission. It's more than fine to say, I like owning my shit. I don't like sub-services. Great. I respect that. But what's not okay is to assume that you speak for, the majority of gamers anymore, because you're a niche now, right? Most gamers are playing Fortnite and Roblox, and then we've talked about this ad nauseum. Is they're playing the shit that they don't own. They don't care about owning it. It's just the way it is. So why wouldn't they want an IP like The Last of Us? I'm not saying they wouldn't want it if they could snap their fingers, but again, if you look at Arcane's success, yeah, they had a failure with Redfall. Okay, Redfall showed that obviously it was a poorly managed product. I'm not saying that was a Harvey Smith thing. I'm talking maybe like at the Pete Hines or Matt Booty when he came in. I have no idea, but it was a poorly managed product. A lot of different directions from what the team wanted to do, and they tried to make it into a recurring revenue title, and it shat the bed spectacularly. I don't think they're going to look to that team and say, let's give them another live service game, because they've never made a good one. They might look to that team and say, if we want a Last of Us, these are the guys that could do it. But why would we risk $150 million when we could do, let's throw the money against the wall and see if we get a Fall Guys that only costs $20 million. Let's put 150, what is that? 36, about 5 to 6 bets. Let's throw those onto the table, see what happens. I don't like it when companies exclude physical. Well, I know, Eddie, but he says, I don't like it when they exclude physical ownership. It's the worst type of discrimination, the kind against me. Right. I mean, you are a hardcore collector. I respect that. It's impressive, but that's not most people. But here's the thing, though. Okay, so Connor says, so I know Microsoft's intentions are to profit, but would older game franchises revival fall in that category? I don't think they care. Whatever would profit. If you can take the next Doom and make it more of an ongoing live service game, yeah, it would be great. And I know there's multiplayer in the last couple of Dooms. I'm not saying it's one and done, but it's one and done for a lot of people. It's not like Doom in the old days where it was played obsessively. Why would you pay $40 billion extra for Activision? Because look what happened last quarter. Look at all the fucking money they made on the back of Call of Duty, and some with, obviously there's King and all that. But if you just look at Call of Duty, what are you talking about? It's the workhorse, man. They see that and they go, what are we doing? But the thing is, that's not just Microsoft, right? I mean, this is what I really think is fascinating about this is the companies that spend the kind of money that we are as core gamers used to being spent money on games for us. They don't need us anymore. I like a lot of those games, but they don't need the core gamer that came up with the NES and the PS1, the PS2, the Dreamcast. They don't need you. They'll tell you they need you, but you are now going to need to start if you want to stay gaming. And the good news, the thing is, the reason I don't see this as gloom and doom is, I see this as a wonderful opportunity for people who genuinely love video games to get out of their comfort zone a little bit and explore, whether it's on PC, whether it's on the stuff that you see on Xbox and PlayStation and Switch. There's tons of indie games everywhere. And I know indie games have a reputation for this, that, and the other. I'm going to show you some a little bit later in the show. There's a great thread happening right now on Twitter that's like, here is the indie game I'm making, and here are 3 inspirations for it. It's like, GIFs and just images and shit. And some of these games, if I were to show you and say this is an indie, you'd say, no, that's not a fucking indie, right? It's getting so much easier now to create with 1, 2, 3 band teams again, professional, big budget looking games that don't actually cost that. So the kind of things that, are out there, are the stuff that a lot of you hardcore gamer guys are saying you want. You're like, what happened to all the creativity? What happened to taking chances? It's happening. If what you're really asking for is what happened to creativity and new IP and taking chances at the budget and at the production value I want, then you're absolutely right. That's gone. That's absolutely gone, barring a couple of things here and there, maybe once or twice a year. But you're 100% right. That is not coming back, and unless the industry crashes And then it's like, well, it's still never coming back because you'd still have to spend the kind of money that would have crashed the industry in order to make your type of gamer happy that needs the innovation and the creativity and the production value. So this is what I think. Fatal Recall, thank you for the super chat. He says, I think all the old guard left after Mikami left Tango. Well, I don't know if they've left yet, because I know the guy who directed Evil Within 2 and Hi-Fi Rush was posting today saying, what the fuck? Here's what's really neat about that, interesting about that, is if you read an interview with Mikami a couple of weeks ago, and if you don't know, Mikami's the guy who was, now he's saying he didn't really run Tango Gameworks. The last couple of months, he was apparently an executive producer, but before that, he called himself just a guy in the trenches making games. I don't know what he was, but the RE4 guy, the Vanquish guy, he left. He did an interview a couple of weeks ago saying, I left because I want to start a company that allows younger ideas to have a place to express themselves. I don't want to just do horror, and I want to make games that are shorter. And it's like, what was weird about that is like, dude, that's the exact same thing. If you go back to interviews X years ago, that's exactly what you said Tango Gameworks was. So now I wonder how much of this he knew was coming. And he's like, nothing's changed. I still want to do Tango Gameworks, basically his vision of it. And perhaps a bunch of those guys in Japan are picking up the phone, have been all day and all night long going, hey, I know you got funding. I know you got a new company. Is there a seat for me there? Eddie Torres says that Fable might be in trouble. I mean, we'll know in June? We'll know in less than a month or about a month. But I mean, again, yeah, I mean, look, all you have to do is travel back in time, not very long. Like Helena Troyana says that Phil is really bad at managing studios. All you have to do is travel back a couple years and look at the video that I'm almost certain was the thing that caused Phil Spencer to ban me or block me or whatever on Twitter. He's since unbanned me, which I appreciate because I like, seeing his stuff. But I was saying the same thing then. I mean, my target is not on Phil being a poor manager of game development. My argument is Phil being a poor manager of human beings like Matt Booty, who should not be managing those studios. I understand if Microsoft is coming in and saying, we want to shift our goal now that we've seen the kind of money we can make with Activision and service games. You can't really blame management for that any more than you could blame Scott Rhodey or Connie Booth for the fact that Jim Ryan came in and said pretty much the same thing about live service games. But what you can do, though, is say they had I want to say the better part of a decade to prove through intellectual properties and production that even if we have to pivot, we don't need to pivot so much that we're shutting down talented studios like Arcane. What they should have done is looked at Redfall and said, this isn't ready. This isn't working, just like they did with Halo. But Halo, I mean, I like how Halo turned out, but I know it didn't deliver for a lot of fans. But yeah, they've had nothing but failure after failure after failure of poor management. And at some point it does eke up to Spencer. But I really think Spencer's biggest problem is, like if I were to fire anybody, and I'd hate to fire anybody, but if a bunch of people lost their jobs today. If I were to fire anybody, it would be Booty a hell of a lot before it would be Sarah Bond or Phil Spencer. Because Spencer's vision is interesting and it's forward thinking and it's compelling, and whether you like it or not, whether it works or not, to quote Hamilton, which is really quoting The West Wing, there's a mind at work there. There's someone who's trying to play chess. Are they good? I don't fucking know. Depends on the day. But that's somebody that you can still use and work with and benefit from. Booty, I don't fucking know. I don't fucking know what the fuck, why he's in that role. It makes no fucking sense, but whatever, it is what it is. I mean, it's their goose is cooked, at this point. I mean, but right. Because even if Indiana Jones and Avowed look amazing and Call of Duty looks amazing, I mean, it's just weird to me that they're going to just continue. Like, would they fund another Indiana Jones at this point? Like you could see that they would be pissed that they didn't have a Fallout, you know, and that, you know, I don't know about that. I mean, you certainly don't want to rush a game to hit a date with a TV series, especially when you don't know it is going to be a hit. But it is there, you know, if what Phil Spencer was saying was true, which is we don't micromanage the teams anymore. That got us in trouble in the past. We really let them have their freedom. What do they want to do? What are they passionate about? And that's an important piece of the puzzle. Sony does that. But their balance betwixt that, if it's true, if he wasn't just doing lip service to how he ran teams, is like, you know, it's kind of the same thing I said to Sony when they said, I said, why aren't you guys doing God of War on the Move? That would be amazing. And they said, somebody said to me, I'm not gonna tell you who, but somebody said to me on the team, we did a demo with the Move controllers where it was POV Kratos and you could swing them around. It was really cool and everything. I said, well, what are you doing? That would have totally, you know, at least been a great launch title to prep it for the next big title. And they said, well, the team didn't think it would look visually good enough. And I'm like, well, then give it to a different team. Who gives a shit? Right. I mean, it's just a crazy shit like that. It's like, should they have taken Starfield down to make Fallout, you know, whatever? No, but they probably could have looked at it and maybe been a little bit more forceful about a marketing vision, a sales vision. Robert says, if Wall Street only valued Call of Duty revenues at half the price, still don't get why Microsoft would overpay. It feels like they don't want competition by forcing their business model on everyone. I mean, I'm sure that is plays a part of it, but I mean, look, if you look at the revenue, it speaks for itself, doesn't it? Am I missing something? What constitutes a solid hit for these guys? I think it's just like any other subscription service. It's how many people subscribe. I mean, again, this is the funny part. If there was good management, Hi-Fi Rush would be an even bigger success story. Because what was supposed to happen based on what was pitched to us as consumers was, hey, I mean, just pulling games in my butthole right now, but you know, Fallout, not Fallout, what's called Redfall was a game of the year. No, but it was really fucking good. And people subbed to that, and people continued to sub to Halo. And then Starfield dropped, and that was fucking bang, man. That was awesome. And then, okay, we don't have another big title until, say, 4 months from now. Don't worry about it. We got Towerborn, which is great. And then we got Hi-Fi Rush, which is great. And then boom, we got a third party for day one. You know, that was the point of it, is it could fill in those gaps with other titles, and it would keep people from churning out of the service. I know Redfall wasn't good. I'm saying that was the promise. That was the battle map, you know. But when you can't release that cadence and your big game is fucking Hi-Fi Rush, it's not fitting into the machine that was built in the proper way. It was built to be a filler to keep people from churning. It was not built to be a game that made people subscribe. But okay, let me get some chats and then I'll turn on the phone. Matt Booty says, Fatal Recall. Thank you, buddy. He says, doesn't have just an okay track record. I don't think he has much of any track record. I was looking him up a couple of months ago on the show to see what he had done. And it's not like he came from, you know, Sony first party, like a Connie Booth or an Alan Becker. It's not like he came from Valve, where any game that, or Rob Ferguson, where it's like any game that ever shipped, they brought that guy in to make sure they could close it. He's just not anything like, he's got none of that pedigree. And I don't know why he's got this massive amount of power at that studio. I'm sure there's logic behind it. It may not be good logic, but they're not morons, but it's never made any sense to me. Not that that's their job to make that make sense to me. It's none of my fucking business, but as somebody who talks about it, it's never fucking made sense to me. Eric Lennon says, what happened to the model of packaging a multiplayer mode alongside a 15 to 10 hour campaign and the $60 product? What happened was they could make more money doing other things. What happened was they realized when they were shoving a multiplayer into a single player that didn't really fit, it was a waste of money. They didn't really need to do that. And also 10 to 15 hour campaigns, when the campaigns cost $300 million. If you're talking about Sony first party, you don't make your money back with that, is what I would say. Where I want to get this chat real quick. G says, hey buddy, thank you for the super chat. He says, is anything from Tango's closure? Why not sell them off? Why does Tango have to fall on the sword that Xbox created? I have, is there a tax incentive reason? There may very well be, but here's what I would say though about that. If you were going to sell, again, not make a deal with the company, but if you've got the leverage that a company wants to buy you and acquire you, although I know Tango at that point was part of Bethesda, so I'm sure they've got some pretty sexy language in the contract. But I look at it and I go, okay, yeah, you can buy my company, but I'll tell you what, you're going to guarantee us, if you shut us down, 4 months of office space. We get to keep all of our equipment, and we get 6 months or a year, not Cobra, but of insurance. And again, that could push the scale that they may lay you off sooner and they may close you sooner. And we get to keep everything. We don't keep the intellectual property, but if we've written this code and we were about to, think about this, think about Redfall, the guys there. I look at those guys, those are some of the best minds in the business. It's like, okay, it didn't work out, but you got 4 months on Microsoft's dime to go figure out what your next move is. I mean, if you can negotiate that and they're buying you, which means they want you, you probably can negotiate that, because in the grand scheme of things, it's a drop in the bucket. But I don't know what their severance or compensation package is. I don't, but my guess is why they had to fall on the sword, however that sword impaled them, is because they don't fit the vision for the future of the studio. You're going to either go work on Call of Duty, like Bobby Kotick said. I mean, as much as I think Bobby Kotick is literally the devil, he wasn't wrong about where to put the money of the investors. So you're either going to go work on Call of Duty or work on one of these service games. But the days of us making single player narrative based, I don't think they're long for that. I could be wrong, but why would they? Beats Games Life says Indiana Jones may not be relevant enough not to flop. Yeah, no, I love Indiana Jones. I'm a huge Indiana Jones fan, but I agree. I think Indiana Jones is going to sink or swim success-wise simply based on if it's amazing as a standalone game. And if it happens to please old school indie fans like me, great. But no one's going to go out and buy a game because Indiana Jones is in it at a large level. Wayne B says Bobby should run Xbox. Yeah, I mean, if all they're doing now, if Phil Spencer's vision is kind of like, yeah, we tried that, you guys couldn't manage it, so go fuck yourself. We're all about the ducats only now. Fuck your art. Fuck your loving the medium, Phil. Then yeah, I mean, honestly, I think you bring in Bobby Kotick. Why the fuck not at that point? I think you also bring in Rob Ferguson, get him off of Gears 6. And say, look, you're Matt Booty. Why the fuck Matt Booty is Matt Booty and Rob Ferguson is not Matt Booty? I don't know. Major Acquisition says Vita happen when a company thinks they add profit or capitalize to increase by either dropping cost or grow the brand. Well, again, what none of us know on here, at least as far as I know, what none of us know on here is was the plan, because again, I'm not just bringing it up to kind of like avoid going, see, I was wrong. I'm wrong a lot, but I'm not wrong about this, which is if the plan was let us buy these companies and release games frequently in order to prove out and succeed with Phil Spencer's vision that he pitched the fans, that he kind of pitched the investors, but I don't know what is legal and what is not. Like if you say something to the fans in the game press, that doesn't mean that you can be held accountable by the Federal Trade Commission. But if you say it in an investor call, obviously you can. But if they were actually in good faith trying to execute Phil's vision, which I think is still very brilliant, and the management fucked up, then I would say, yeah, it absolutely is one of those things where now they're like, okay, well, now we have to pivot for profit in a different way, because that ain't going to work. Rob Ferguson is gone. He left for Blizzard. Well, Blizzard is under the Microsoft umbrella, though. He was at Microsoft for a long time. Then he went to Epic, right, to work with Gears, to close Gears, and then he ended up, I think, at Microsoft or whatever. But yeah, he's at Blizzard now, overseeing Diablo. Absolutely. Jaffe, the whole situation has me worried about Hellblade 2. Yeah, there's no marketing for the game. Well, that they did announce the marketing's going to start next week. It comes out in 2 weeks. If Hellblade fails, it will be on the chopping block. Absolutely, it will. Absolutely, it will. And it probably, I mean, again, Hellblade 2 is probably not going to drive subscriptions. The only thing that would ever drive subscriptions, not keep subscriptions. Keeping people from churning is easier than getting them to sign up to begin with, or at least my understanding, it seems to be. Because once you put your credit card in, it's like, oh, I want to play that. Fuck it, I'll keep it for one more month, because in another month, another big thing comes out. But I don't think anybody's looking at Hellblade 2 going, suddenly we're going to see a spike in the goddamn Cockadoodie subscription, unless it's timed so perfectly with the June showcase that it's like, holy shit, all the Call of Duties are out day one drop from that showcase, and then the new Call of Duty is coming out on that, and then Marvel Rivals. Well, Marvel Rivals is not Blizzard, sorry, but you know what I'm saying. If they've got enough to keep people from leaving, but yeah, I mean, I don't think that developer as a Microsoft entity survives. No, why would it? Rob Ferguson says, Bookster, is it Blizzard for Diablo 4, not Gears 6? Oh, yeah. I'm sorry. He was at, yeah. I know. He went from Epic to, God damn it. He went from Microsoft to Epic to Gears. He stayed with Gears to 5. And then he went to close Diablo 4. I get it. But all of those are now under the Microsoft banner, is my point. And they've all worked with him before. And everybody knows but thank you, Bookster, for clarifying. Yeah. Everybody knows what a fucking amazing closer that guy is. And they've got him shoved away. Although the new Diablo looks great, the new patch, they've got him shoved away in the context of a much bigger pie, working on one game, when he really should be bringing his expertise to the whole fucking organization, is what I would think. Okay. Movie Maniac says, good Nintendo news today. Well, I mean, you mean the Switch? We knew there was a Switch coming. We knew that they were probably going to announce it in 2025, first quarter, release it probably September 2025. And now they've come out today and said what we all also already knew, which is it's kind of Switch Pro. It's not like a bad thing, but it's not like suddenly it's going to have a toilet. It's not some crazy weird dual screen or Wii U innovation. It's like, basically, you like the Switch, do you? Cool. Here's more of it, basically. Machine, thank you for the super chat, buddy. He says, Jaffe, look, Tango Gameworks has never put out anything super successful. No one played Hi-Fi Rush. Evil Within sold 500,000 copies on AAA budget. I don't know if it was AAA, but yeah. Bethesda was going to shutter them anyway. I mean, I don't know. Everything you've written, I would agree with, except I don't know what Bethesda's goal was regarding those two companies. But Arcane, I don't think Arcane was on anybody's radar to shutter until Redfall shipped. And even then, I understand giving those guys the benefit of the doubt because of pedigree, and because it sounds like that game was sort of run through the ringer of a lot of cooks in the kitchen changing it, and the team didn't want to do this and they wanted to do that, blah, blah, blah. So, but Tango, you may be right. Hi-Fi Rush is great, but if Hi-Fi Rush was not part of the Game Pass day one drop story, it would still be a phenomenal, fun little indie game, but it wouldn't be the kind of game that people look at as that's going to save Xbox, or that's going to turn Xbox Game Pass around. It was a small little thing. It was always meant to be a small little thing. But yeah, absolutely, 100%. I hear you. Okay, let me put the link up right now. If you guys want to jump in and give me your feedback on this, why are people ignoring Redfall sucked ass? I don't think they're ignoring it. I think it's clear it sucked ass, and in that's why they're not working anymore. Why do you think people are ignoring it? There were some cool. Hang on, what? Is that mom? Hang on one sec, guys. Sorry, fellas. Right. So Coco says I subbed for Hi-Fi Rush and then I unsubbed right after. Right, because there was nothing to keep you from sticking around. All right, here you go. Here's the link if you want to call in. There's one on Twitch, one on the YouTube. Call in on your. It's not on the phone. It's through the Discord. Just click the link. You can do it with a microphone without a camera. You can do it with a camera, whatever. All right, here's Ravnos right here. All right, we got Larry coming in. Here he is, folks. Ravnos, what's going on, man?
Nada. Hey. Okay. Couple things about. God, I hate using the iPad camera. A couple of things about the Activision Blizzard issue.
Yeah.
Acquisition. Vitaphone is right. They were very successful in 2022 and for decades. However, I don't have the data.
Who was successful for decades?
Activision Blizzard.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
In 2022, Vitaphone looked up the data, and they were at like 5.3 billion profit.
Okay.
So Microsoft buys them for, let's just round up, 69 billion.
Is that your dick? Would you put your dick away?
Yeah, that's my dick. No. Oh, see, I'm on a stupid iPhone or iPad.
Okay, just don't move. Stop moving. Just sit the fuck down.
Oh, it's an earthquake, Jaffe. I'm in California again. I'm just sitting down. Hold on.
All right, Jesus Christ. Okay,
so have ADD like you.
Oh, okay, let's go. So they looked at the budget. You looked at the profit.
Yeah, look, so they buy them, right?
Yeah.
Microsoft does. Oh, that fixed it, I guess. The problem is, yes, the revenue for gaming went up. What was it, 61% over last year?
Okay.
What I'm saying is that's not enough. It's going to take them years to make enough profit to pay for the Activision Blizzard purchase. Because you can't just look at revenue like what Microsoft is showing people. Look at our revenue went up, our revenue. Okay. For one, you're in a $69 billion hole. And until you patch that hole with profit, not revenue, but with profit, you're still in the red for that purchase.
Okay. I mean, do you think they didn't know that?
No, they do know that. But what I'm saying is a lot of people are like, oh, it's going to be great. Call of Duty makes so much money and King makes so much money, which, yes, they do. But as well as making revenue, they also have employees that have to be paid. They have tons of buildings that they either own and have to pay taxes on.
Yeah, they have a lot of overhead. But again,
like people don't ever think of overhead.
Sure they do. I do.
When I say gamers, you do because you ran a fucking company, so you know what it's like to have to sign those paychecks.
Yeah, well, the thing about it though is that again, if you were to pitch, if the acquisition would have been pitched to people like it ended up working out where Microsoft's own titles could not stand there on a regular cadence and make people subscribe and or not unsubscribe to Game Pass, then I would say that, yeah, you're right. But when the vision that was pitched, I still think would work. If Sony did that vision with Sony's creative management, it would work.
But now your vision is day and date.
Yeah, because people are like, well, yeah, because the whole point was now the only thing that was never that I don't know if I could ever stand behind is the idea that are there enough people out there that play games like even if Redfall would have been perfect game of the year to merit the investment, because there may be a ceiling on those kinds of gamers, and unless Game Pass had plans to also attract a much more casual market, or to get like a Fortnite of their own that was exclusive, I don't know if they would have ever made their money back. But that's something that's just we have to speculate. But the vision, though, of we're going to basically be putting out content with a frequency of a Netflix, a little less, of course.
Yeah.
And some's going to be big, some's going to be AA, some's going to be like 4 times a year. You're going to get these big tentpole games. And we've bought enough studios that have enough skill and talent and IP that we can do that. That was absolutely a vision that has not been played out because the management was terrible. But I still think that was why they got Activision. I think you're going to see this Christmas. You're going to see, I guarantee you're going to see a shit ton of people signing up for Call of Duty because it'll be on Game Pass, I assume.
Yeah, I mean, that might happen. What really shocked me, and this is a plus in the Microsoft column, was Starfield.
Okay.
They sold, not had people play. See, I hate it when they say over 60 million people have touched this. Who fucking cares who touched the thing? That could be someone installed it, went, oh, this sucks, and then uninstalled it. But they had a ton of sales on Steam and I assume on the Microsoft Store, which was shocking. But one of the things that I'm kind of hearing is that not so much on the Game Pass side, because I'm mainly hearing this about Japanese companies. A lot of Japanese companies, Square Enix, big one, they're kind of not liking the subscription service thing because Square Enix has a bunch of games, or they're going away, like I believe this week or next week, on PlayStation Plus Extra. And I think they're finding out that when they do that, people don't buy their games as much.
Yeah, we all know that. None of this is a surprise to anyone. The whole idea was, of course, you're going to sacrifice sales if you end up on a subscription service. Why wouldn't you? But the assumption is the compensation for the third party and the investment for the first party is going to be worth it because the sub numbers are going to be there.
Do you think the subs are for casual gamers, like people?
Well, we know subs are for casual gamers, but not these kinds of games. Again, that's the one thing that I can't argue on because I don't have the evidence, and neither do you. But
no, I don't.
To suggest that you're never going to see Dragon's Dogma 2, even if it's on a subscription service, get the kind of players you need to justify the cost. Not because it's not a good deal for core gamers, but because there's just not enough core gamers, and you'd have to raise the price to the point that it doesn't make any sense. But absolutely, I mean, casual gamers have no problem subscribing. They have zero problem subscribing, but it's what I think is they were going to try to probably split the difference and go, yeah, we got our core stuff, but we're going to start bringing on some of these casual games and service games. But again, that was the pitch, but that did not come to fruition. So,
or at least it hasn't so far. Yeah. Do you?
I think at this point, I mean, you would have to see Indie be great. You'd have to see Avowed be great. You'd have to see Call of Duty be their day one Game Pass, and the sub numbers be so fucking astounding that the Microsoft management that is now pivoting for wanting just Activision money would go, oh shit, when this vision actually works, this is insane. But I come on, what are the chances of that vision working? They as I've said before, Phil Spencer could not produce sperm, is what I would say.
They would have to literally make games like only playable on Game Pass. Like, you can't buy this digitally, you can't buy this physically.
Yeah.
If you want to play X, Y, Z, the only way to play it is to be a subscriber. But even then, you run into the problem of people just subscribing for 1 month, beating the game.
Yeah, I mean, that's the business of subscription models. I mean, that's how it works,
Or more live servicey type stuff where it's not a true live service, but it's like, here's the deal. Every month or so, there's a battle pass. And if you buy it, you get more stuff. And there's an online component. Yeah. Because then you're getting people.
No, I got you. All right, Ravnos, I appreciate the call, buddy. Thank you so much.
Yep.
I'll talk to you later. All right, Vitaphone, I'll bring you in a second. If you want to call, you can call in too and share your views of this crazy world of ours. You can do it on your computer there with your, whatever it is you use on your fucking computer. Let me get you the invite here because that's the kind of guy I am. Here you go. Paste. Boom. There it is. Okay. Gun says his prediction is people will sub to Game Pass for the old Call of Duty games, realize why they stopped playing, unsub. Could be. Power World and Helldivers 2 are under $40. That's why these companies are failing, including Microsoft and Sony. I mean, look, here's the bigger thing though. The bigger thing on this is the budget for these games, and again, that's over. You enjoy it while it lasts, fellas and Filettis, because that is over at this point. The number of games that are going to get that kind of spend are going to be anemic. And they should be, because the games that are out there being made, and I'm going to talk to Vitaphone first, and anybody else who wants to call in, then I'm going to show you some indie stuff that hits Twitter today. That's just on this thread that indie gamers are posting on, and it's like I said earlier, it's exactly what you guys are saying you wanted. You want creativity, you want chances, you want risk taking, you want new IP. It's all over the place. Stellar Blade sales, says Count Quackula, are high. I don't know if that's true. You could be right. I don't have any evidence the only evidence I've seen, because I did not see usually GameIndustry.biz puts out a weekly, this is the box sales from the UK over the week. So at least you could kind of look at it there, but I didn't see that this week. The only thing I've seen is the actual Sony system, like PSN. You go to the PSN, it says, here's what's selling. And if you look at that, like I said, you've got Sea of Thieves at number 3 and you've got Stellar Blade at number 8. But I don't have any plans to buy it. I played the demo. I enjoyed it. And I'm kind of good. Masochista says AAA gaming is dog water. We are witnessing it crash right now. I think we're seeing the beginnings of it. I don't know if it's a crash, but we're seeing the beginnings of it's taking some damage. What's up, Vitaphone?
Hey, so I just wanted to add a couple things to the whole Microsoft acquisition of ABK and just the streaming model in general. So the issue of that Ravenos was bringing up as far as the cost, the company ABK, for the numbers that we have that we can see of 2023, is that combined they profited $7 billion. So when you're looking at making an acquisition of that size or any corporation, they're going to be looking at a lot of different factors, and they're not going to really, it's not generally going to be like, can we pull all that money back instantaneously, especially not an acquisition that large. So at $7 billion, they're profiting that much every year. So that's not a,
wait, you're saying the 7 billion was profit, not revenue from the Activision? Yeah. Okay. So if they're getting 7 billion every quarter, every year, they haven't even owned them for a year.
No, I'm saying that's what the 3 companies together were going in 2022.
Okay, so $7 billion a year, you'll make that in 6 years, less than 6 years. Well,
but I mean, really, that's also to imply that the acquisition wasn't just simply to buy it and keep things business as usual. I mean, their own companies make acquisitions based on what they think they can get out of, anybody that they're looking to swallow. So
yeah, but again, the thing is, there was total logic. It doesn't mean that was what their actual plan was. But again, you have to be honest with the FTC, and you have to be honest in the court when you are dealing with all this shit with the lawsuits, or the people suing them to not have the acquisition go forward. You can't lie there. But what they were offering up, the logic was, we need this because what we want to do with it is funnel in the biggest games in the world to Game Pass, because that's our future. That's what they're saying.
I'm just making the point that aside from what they plan on doing with the company, which is, obviously adding that to the Game Pass lineup and everything that, that acquisition entails, plus getting a strong foothold in the mobile market, which, King was $2.77 billion in profit, not revenue, from the last figures that I've seen. So there's just, any way you slice it, it's whether they're looking to keep things just business as usual, it's a good business move, or whether they're hoping it's going to grow Game Pass.
Yeah.
And I think that, selling games on different platforms, if they keep titles not day and date, say through PlayStation, but they go, hey, if you want to play day and date, you got to come to, any platform that,
Game Pass. Yeah. And they could bring that to the phone as well. They could say all these King games and all these casual games, you could do all the microtransactions and stuff, but hey, we're putting Candy Crush and all this shit, Game Pass, for phone, $8 a month. And it comes with Call of Duty Mobile, which is a big hit. It comes with all the King games. And suddenly you do start getting, the Game Pass brand everywhere on the casuals and the medium and the hardcore. So
Well,
I very much believe in the vision of it, and I don't think the acquisition was bad. Is it bad for the people who got laid off? Sure, of course.
yeah.
That's not what I thought they were going to do. I thought they were going to keep those games, like I said, to keep people from churning in the months they don't have anything big. But
Well, the other big factor that besides, Call of Duty coming to Game Pass in some form or another, that not a lot of people except for Pactor has been harping on about is, Blizzard, if all of a sudden, wow,
Warcraft,
if all of a sudden that's part of Game Pass, to us hardcore gamers maybe that don't play that game, that doesn't seem like a big deal. But if all of a sudden you're going from paying $20 a month for your World of Warcraft to
right?
20 or 25, or if it, throw
But you get a bunch of other shit too.
yeah, and it incentivizes you to hop in and check out what's on Game Pass.
I wonder how Diablo's doing for them on Game Pass, especially because the new patch is coming out soon, and I know that that's supposed to sort of be a lot more user friendly. So, hopefully that's moving the needle too on it. But we'll see. All right, buddy, I appreciate it as always. Talk to you later. Geesh, thank you for the super chat. He says if Kai had a nice rack, he could have doubled sales. I don't know who Kai is, so I hate to. I appreciate the ducats. I appreciate the community. Thank you, buddy. But I don't know what. I don't know who Kai is. Is Kai in that game the Stellar Blade game? All right, here's Quest, aka Foolish Duke. What's up, man?
Hey, did they maybe mean Chai or Chai? That's the guy from Hi-Fi Rush.
Oh, they did.
The Tango game.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. I didn't know what his name was. Okay.
Yeah, man. I'm bummed about this, man. I through Game Pass discovered Tango's games. I mean, I knew about Shinji before. I knew about Evil Within, but never played them until Game Pass. I played Evil Within, played Ghostwire, played Hi-Fi. Some of my favorite gems from Game Pass. So I'm just bummed. I'm bummed to see him go.
Well, I don't know if they're really going anywhere. I mean, they might just be going down the road to Mikami's new studio because he left, a couple of months ago, and he's basically saying my new studio is going to be the same thing as my old studio was.
For sure.
But yeah, I mean, again though.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
That Mikami leaving too bummed me too, because to me that was I put him up there with like the David Jaffes of game directors,
well above that, but I know what you mean. He's the shit, man. I'm a big fan of that.
For sure. Like, he's a legend, that was real talent. They had for a split second under Xbox and just let slip away. But
again, that kind of talent is not in demand right now. That's the truth. I mean,
unfortunately that's true.
It's not the way it used to be. It's the people who are really talented are the ones that get, the Power Worlds, the Fortnites, the Robloxes, that get the Helldivers. I mean, that's the money is astronomical. And so, again, the thing that I don't understand, and maybe you can tell me this because you're playing these games that you had not heard about until you got Game Pass, the Tango game. I don't know if I certainly would say that Evil Within is double A. It certainly is an indie, but I don't know if I would put it up in that realm of big triple A. But regardless though, there are so many games, whether it is on Game Pass or on the indie section of the PS Store or on Steam or whatever. Why is it just a lack of exposure? Like why this consistent narrative from gamers that the sky is falling in the industry? There's no more chances. There's nothing interesting being made. And all you have to do is kind of look up from your console or look up from your game you're playing at the moment. Go, dude, the industry is amazing right now when it comes to innovation and new ideas and great games that are out there. What is it about? Why can't that get traction, that idea?
I think in general, even beyond video games, I think it's just easy to be outraged online. That's almost the default online is it's all bad. That's just, I think, maybe what drives the most interaction. And then that's what we see the most. I think also because I think a lot of people are on social media a lot instead of gaming. They're just seeing what people are talking about instead of, like you said, explore the Steam sales or check out Game Pass or, because there really is a lot and a lot of variety.
Absolutely. There's
and
tons.
and just to circle back to how sad I am again, I think Tango being Japanese and bringing that day one Japanese presence to Game Pass, I think that's another sad loss in the diversity the Game Pass brought.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think that moved the needle all that much.
I don't think it did either. I understand from a business point, I suppose why, but just as a gamer, as someone that did like their games and loved Shinji Mikami, it's sad for me. But
I wish somebody would make, and I don't know if you do it as a console or streaming, but I wish there would be a company out there that would say, we're going to be the first party of indie games. We're going to promote them. We're going to have a console with them. We're going to really bring these to people's attention. I know people have tried it, but it's like, my God, there's such cool fucking shit that you can play. And it's just, it drives me batty. Like a lot of these people that got laid off today, I'm sure today hurts. And it should, of course, it's horrible.
Yeah.
But my God, the freedom that they're going to get if they can take the right path and not go back into the machine if they can afford it.
For sure.
And make their own fucking machines, man, and follow their own fucking visions. I mean, it's a gold mine right now. It's hard, but it's a gold mine. So anyway, I appreciate the chat, buddy. Thank you so much.
Appreciate you, man.
All right, see ya. All right, let me bring in Norm real quick, then I'll go to the text chat. This is Norm. What's up,
Hey,
Norm?
how's it going?
It's good. How are you?
Good. Yeah, no, I just feel like a lot of the conversation is just kind of weird, and it seems like people are putting a lot of like mental blockages with this, like to pretend that like for some reason that these studios that put out game after game after game that don't hit should just be funded and going forever. Like I don't know. It just doesn't really make.
I would agree, but I don't think the two big closures today have that reputation. I think Tango Gameworks did all right in terms of. I mean, again, I don't know what the expectations were, but they can't be upset that Hi-Fi Rush didn't sell a lot of copies. It was put on Game Pass day one.
Well, it seems like it didn't get played much either, though. Like, and then it got ported to PlayStation. It seems like it didn't really do much either.
Yeah, but you're right. But that almost seems to be more of an issue of, maybe, maybe
being out for a year and then going over.
Well, maybe it's just time. Like people are like, look, there's so much to take my time in video games and the games last so long or they're service based that, maybe what they should have done is said, okay, that game's not going to work for us. But if you could rebrand it and give us something that we know has, legs or has market appeal than just a new IP. And I know gamers like new IPs. I like new IPs, but it's like, hey, can you kind of figure out how to reskin this as a Gears of War side mission? Or can you seriously, because the game is the game. It doesn't matter what it really looks like. It could still be the same art style, but I don't know. I think that I think it's really unfortunate, but again, a lot of it is the games are too fucking long, but the people who are making the money aren't going to change. But that's the one thing that really sucks is that there are so many good games out there and they take forever to get through. And you either play like I do, which is you play it for a few days and you move on. You never finish anything because you want to play everything. Or you just avoid things because you just don't have the time. I just think they last. I don't know. It's not good for
I just feel like the studios that were being shut down now, like I feel like these are not that it's sad that this is happening, and it's not that either studio is necessarily bad studios, but it seems like these are not necessarily the studios to be like, if they were to Gears of War, the studio gets shut down, I think a lot of people would be like, okay, what is going on? This is clearly
that's exactly right. That makes no fucking sense if that were to happen. I think if 343 were to get shut down and they said, you know what, we're going to, I think Halo is a not the franchise people think it is anymore, but I like the last Halo, but assuming we were back.
But it made money.
Huh?
You know, it's made money even, you know, that I think
But
that's like a major difference of some
But
of
I
these.
think if you say we're still in the Halo game and we're Microsoft, and you say, you know what, fuck you, 343, this is going now over to the guys who made Doom, and they're going to
Yeah,
alternate between Halos and Dooms. I think that
Hey,
makes.
yeah, that'd be cool.
But the idea of I mean, I don't think, and we're not seeing them do that, because I think we're going to see a Gears 6 announced. I think it's going to go heavy on the multiplayer and maybe even the service stuff. You know, we'll see. All right, man. I appreciate the thoughts. Thank you for calling, buddy. What does that mean? One Winged Angel says, Jesus Christ, this audio. Talk to me. You got to be more specific. You're like, there's people in the comments that say something. Are you saying my audio or that was Norm's audio? If it's my audio, let me know. I'll look into fixing it. Jaffe, Xbox is what it used to be. Game Pass is, wait, Jaffe, says George Foreman the second. Xbox is what it used to be. Game Pass is losing so much money and no one is buying consoles. Xbox at the end of its life. No, I don't think that's true. I don't think Microsoft as a games publisher is at the end of their life. And I don't think Game Pass is necessarily at the end of its life. But do I think Xbox as a console is kind of, why would you make another one? I know Phil Spencer says they are. Why the fuck would you make another one? Unless you're going to clear out all that management. I mean, I guess you could say, well, yeah, dude, but we have Call of Duty. So, but at that point, you could go to Sony and say, you know what, guys, here's the deal. We won't make another console, at least for 10 years, but we get to put Game Pass on PlayStation. That would work, maybe. But short of that, I guess you'd have to do it because console players are going to want to play Game Pass games and they don't want to stream them. So not yet anyway, but I hear you. All right, here comes Todd Howard from, the Cincinnati Howards. Todd, it's Jaffe. What's up, man?
Hey, Jaffe. How's it going?
It's good. Your mic's a little off. It's kind of crackling in my ear. What can you do for me?
Oh, you're getting better?
I'm getting better?
No, the audio. Did it get better?
It doesn't sound good. Ask me your question, then I'll hang up, but I'll address your question.
No, I just wanted to say that I'm not surprised at all of this news, because Redfall was a huge failure. It was such a disaster that we found out that 70% of the original staff at Arcane left during the production. So,
yeah, I mean, that's a good point. I think if the game had been a failure, but they looked at the team and said, but this is still the team that gave us Prey. This is still the Austin group of developers that, were there in the Warren Spector and Ion Storm days. Let's give these guys another chance, especially given the fact that they had a lot of Bethesda cooks in the kitchen telling them to make a game they didn't want to make. But you're right. There were so many people left that I could see they would look at it now and go, well, what's even there anymore? Maybe Harvey is still working. Maybe they're like, Harvey, we'll let you build a new studio, or we'll fund a couple milestones for a project you have for Game Pass. But short of that, yeah, I can't imagine why they would keep that studio. I'm with you. All right, buddy. Thank you for the call. I appreciate it, man.
Bye.
The Redfall that Uncle Phil played and expected to get 9s. That one. Again, I don't know what to tell you about that. I mean, I was never a guy that was, I played it. I immediately, the only thing I have to write home about when it comes to Redfall is I loved the setting. I thought the setting and the art of the environment, like I loved the idea of spending time in a supernatural game in that kind of, sleepy harbor town. And I think they pulled that off wonderfully. But the game itself, I was, not so much. Booksters, Jaffe, what's up, man?
Hey, can you hear me? All right.
Oh, baby, I can hear you in my nether regions. What's up?
So I wanted to talk about the comment Matt Booty had made. I know we can't take these studios at face value, or these companies at face value, exactly what they say, but their comment is his comment is interesting on why they're closing those studios. They're focusing on these specific major IPs. It's like they're saying that they don't want to do any of these smaller games anymore. And isn't the bigger budgets kind of an issue in the industry? So why are they making that decision to
Well, because
double
nothing
down
else.
on.
Well, okay. So let's be clear. There's three different things. There's the small double A and triple A single. God damn it, Jaffe. Indie games and double A games. Those do make profits, but they don't make the kind of profits that companies like Microsoft are interested in, or these days even Sony, right? So those kind of go away, and they're not being used clearly when you have a great double A game like Hi-Fi Rush and it can't keep people. Again, I don't think you can say it couldn't keep people from churning because there was nothing to wait for. Once you were done with it, it wasn't like something big was coming. But anyway, though, then you're left with the big budget non-service games and the big budget service games, or even the non-big budget service games. They clearly want to go in the direction of evergreen titles that continually print money. I don't see I see Sony is continuing within reason to say we're going to keep making single player narrative games. But I don't know, man. I don't think Microsoft, I'd be surprised to see anything other than what we already know, coming up for this fucking thing, that is narrative based. Like Gears will probably have a single player and a multiplayer. We know Indie's coming Avowed as single player, but short of the things that we already know about the brands, I don't think you're going to see them. I could be wrong, but I don't think they're going to be investing in, hey, let's make our own Last of Us.
Yeah,
I don't think it's not worth it. It's just not worth it.
And I don't think so either. But I mean, it kind of calls the question: is like there's studios like Double Fine. Double Fine, it does not make the type of games that they want. Are they just going to get shut down immediately?
Great point. I hadn't even thought of Double Fine in a long time. I would be very surprised that if Double Fine ends up being a Microsoft studio for too much longer, unless what they're working on is like the next Fall Guys. Like if they've put them on a title that's like, yeah, it's quirky and weird and that doesn't sell at a single player level for the most part, but these guys can totally do live service. I could see that. I could see that. That could work. But yeah, Compulsion Games, Kevin Sow in the chat. Yeah, I mean, there's a bunch that I would be
worried
about. Absolutely. All right, now, Bookster. Thanks, buddy. I appreciate it. Come back later. We'll talk to you next time. Good. All right. It looks like I may have to go back to PC, says Serenity. After leaving it for 40 years, I prefer console, but it looks like all innovations on PC. All I can tell you is, and I was looking this up before the show because I know the PC is cost prohibitive to a lot of people, but assuming you can't do streaming like GeForce, which is the shit if you are in a good location, it's awesome. Let's assume you can't do that. I was looking it up. You can get a $500 PC that will play pretty much everything right now. It's not going to play it with all the settings turned up, but it'll certainly play 95% of the games out there well enough that you can enjoy them. And I understand that, look, if you're going to buy a goddamn PS5 Pro, you're going to spend about the same amount. And you can still put it on the big screen TV. I don't know why people would buy a console at this point. If you can only afford one, take a couple of extra months, 6 months, whatever it is, save up a little bit more money, get the goddamn PC. If you love games, I just don't want to tell you, I don't care about drivers. I don't give a fuck about fiddling. People know me. I can't even get the audio for this stream to work. I am not a guy who's walking around going, get the PC and you can fiddle with things and make it just how you want it. That is not my pitch on PCs. Yeah, we'll see. One Winged Angel says, no, thank you. PC equals work. No, it doesn't. No, it doesn't. What work does it equal? I replaced my PC after 6 years because the motherboard burnt out. What, you think PlayStations have no, and I ran it like a goddamn workhorse between streaming and playing AAA games and video and editing. I feel very good about the longevity of that. But how long is a goddamn PC going to last you? You're saying the PS Pro is only $500, and I'm saying the PS Pro and the PC is the same price. Okay. Optimization sucks in PC gaming. Again, I don't know where you guys are getting your facts from, but I mean, I don't really know what you're talking about. I mean, there are certain games that are poorly ported. Sure. Thank you, Bo Banny. Good to see you, buddy. He's been a member for 32 months. I appreciate that, man. Thank you, sir. Thank you for the support. Listen to this. MacPack Game says, I don't think we won't make a console, but we won't make a console, Sony, but we get to put Game Pass on PlayStation would fly. Sony has won the last 2 generations of console sales and would be confident beating Microsoft again. What's the incentive? Well, again, it could simply be that Microsoft says, okay, well, here's the incentive. If somebody plays a game on PlayStation and it's a Game Pass game, you guys are getting every month a percentage of, you're getting 30% or whatever the percent is that they would pay to have it, just like the percent that they have to pay or they get paid from Fortnite. They don't make Fortnite, but they get a licensing fee. And my guess is they also, on top of it, get a percentage of that subscription. So, you know, they would say, well, look, we have Call of Duty. We have Halo. We have Doom. We have Fallout. We have all these games that, yeah, you can sell them for $70, but you can also now offer your audience, you know, the option to pay you guys continuously $20 a month, and you guys get a percentage of that, and they can play all those games that way. So anyway, hey, then go buy it. Look, guys, I don't care. What I'm telling you is, if you want to play the most innovative games, you're not getting them if all you do is play on console. Although there are a lot of great indie games on console, but most people don't even know where to find them. It's embarrassingly sad, but it is what it is. Ouya is way better, sure. Hey, the Ouya was a good idea. I believed in the vision of it, and it did give us Towerfall. That was an exclusive for that system, but I loved the vision of it. I don't think the vision any more than I love the vision for Amico. The thing that both of those people didn't take into account is the fact that that vision is already being served by most people when it comes, they get a Switch and they play party games with their family. Jaffe, if you want a game on PC easier, buy a Steam Deck. Yeah, sure, but it's not hard. There is literally, let me show you how hard it is. I'm not going to bore you guys with this shit. I don't want to talk about this all day, but I just want to show you my experience with PC games. Okay. Just so you understand, I'm not lying to you guys. Okay. This is my experience, with PC games. Where's my fucking screen? Here you go. Okay. So here I am, and I'm like, you know what I'd like to do? I want to play a PC game. I'm not a problem. Let me open this right here. There's GeForce. Doesn't have to be GeForce, but it is. Well, what do you want to play? I don't know. Let's play. Let's play No Rest for. I'm not going to play games on the stream. I'm going to get back to talking, but I just want to show. This is it. Any drivers, any updates, any downloads, all that happened over at GeForce, wherever the fuck they are. That's it. There's no work I had to do. So this idea that I have to do work to play this fucking thing, I don't know what you people are talking about. And even if I was not streaming it, if I was just playing it, it's the same fucking thing. You go to Steam, you download it, you click play. I don't quite get it, but you know. Oh, again, that is streaming, sure. But okay, let me show you one that's not streaming. All right, let me close this, and then we'll get back to talking. This is not a game stream. Let me quit this. Let me show you another one. Okay, fine. So I picked up Hades 2 yesterday, right? Can't get that on console right now, can you? Nope. Hades 2, all I did was buy it. Went to the store. I said, bloop, buy it. Came over here. I click play. It just works. That's it. It just works. There's no maintenance. I don't do any maintenance. I don't know what you're talking about. I just play shit. Anyway, again, do with it what you will, but I'm telling you my experience. It is what it is. Listen to this. We got ourselves super chat coming in from, what do we got here? We got, Carlos. Thank you, buddy. He says, PC is a lot of work and ports can be bad, but the benefit is you can always refund the game. That's true too. I mean, but again, I don't think it's a lot of work. You guys know me. I cannot get the audio for this stream right, and I've been doing it for 5 years. I don't know anything about anything when it comes to tech. Ask the God of War team. There's no work on my part. I'm just playing games that I buy. It's easy. All right, well, I'm going to move on to a different topic because, you know, what do you want from me there? Does anybody else want to talk about the Xbox thing, or do you want to move topics? Let me put the link back up. So if you guys do want to talk and you want to talk live, you can call in and not call in, but I'm an old man. I use call. Fuck you. Online is free instead of on PC. Yeah. Well, okay, Carlos, I'm not lying. He says, I have a PC. Don't be lying. Okay, then I'm not lying, but explain to me explain to me what is the work you put into your PC? I mean, I don't know what you're talking about. Glass Burrito, it's Jaffe. What's up, man?
Well, I was going to say a couple of things. First, some of the games that you like, have you ever tried playing Call of War as Gunslinger on Steam?
I've played the game. I don't know where I played it.
Okay. For me, for example, I've had an issue where I have like a 32 core CPU. I have to turn off all the cores but 7 in order to get that game to work.
Right. And when did Call of Juarez come out?
Mid 2010s.
Let's look it up. I'm curious. Because there's been a couple of them, right?
Right. Call of Juarez, the first game, Bound in Blood's the second one.
Which is the one you're talking about?
The one I'm talking about is way later. I think it was by Techland.
The Cartel?
No. It's after the Cartel. It's called Gunslinger.
Okay, I want to see when this came out. This came out in, it's got a 10 out of 10 review on Steam. It came out 11 years ago. Okay.
Yeah.
So you're saying in that case, it sucks because it's an much older game and it takes a little fiddling to make it work.
Well, I was going to say, you said before 95% of the games on the platform. And I'm like, this counts as one of those 95%, I would think. Like maybe not the highest end games, but like a game from 10, 11 years ago, you could play that on the PC, right?
Yeah.
So this $500 machine that you were talking about before, I'm saying this is one of the issues you may run into if you have a specific component in your build, right?
Okay, sure. But the frequency of that, you would admit, is pretty low.
Oh, yeah. No. It generally is, but there's always that, like, every time I get a game, I go to the PC Gaming Wiki to ensure that I'm getting everything running the way it should be in widescreen. No,
I get it.
glitch.
I get it.
Yeah.
But then you've got to weigh what you're giving up and what you're gaining. So yeah, you may from time to time, like in my whole history of PC gaming, there was one game that I couldn't really get to work on Steam, which was the original 13, the cell shaded shooter that was like X111. Other than that, everything worked great. I'm more than willing to have those extremely rare hiccups in exchange for being able to play innovative, interesting, different games that take chances and are clever and fun and unique and just good, versus going, I never have that problem on a PS5. If that was my only choice, was a PS5 or an Xbox or whatever. But you know what? I'm really limited to the content that I can play.
And for that, and for the content, I 100% agree. The PC is the way to go. You're going to get the best experience there because you can customize it and modify it to your whim.
No, I'm just talking about the amount. I don't even mean the tech stuff. I just mean you can play everything.
Right. Again, compatibility, everything. There's all of that. However, it comes at the cost of, like you said, the convenience. And I know people that go to work every day and they look at a computer screen for 8 hours and they come home. The last thing they want to do is look at a computer screen again to start playing a game. So having like a dedicated system, or even you'd have like a RetroPie machine, like an emulation station, something like that. That is better to them, just so they are not reminded of what they have been sitting doing the last 8 hours,
Sure, but again, you can play it on the TV. I mean, Steam has big screen, so it's basically a console. But anyway, it is what it is. All this is going away anyway because it's all going to be streaming soon. But all right, Burrito, thank you, buddy. I appreciate it. Good to talk to you. All right, let me bring in JJ real quick. JJ, it's Jaffe. What's up?
Hey, Jaffe, how are you doing today?
I am very good. How are you?
Doing good. Hey, I kind of want to move on to something else because I know we're all focusing on what's happening.
Whatever you want. Go. Yep.
Yeah, it's just that I'm looking at that Nintendo is announcing their next console and
March 2025, right?
Yep. And I'm kind of wondering, with all the leaks that supposedly was out there, which one is true and which one is not. And I just get a little bit curious about that.
I mean, the only thing that I've seen that has been, nothing's been proven, but there was a Chinese peripheral maker that posted something on Facebook about it and was forced to take it down, and they've reposted, but all of that has been removed. So the press has said that was a pretty accurate leak, and it also stands to reason that if it was a lie, it's like they wouldn't have taken it down and put it back up with just those specific things removed. But so what they've said, and what seems to have been confirmed by a number of other folks in the last few days, is, like I said earlier, it's kind of it's not a Switch Pro, like it's like a little bit better. It's clearly a new system. It will have carts. It will have backwards compatibility. It's got a bigger screen. The controllers seem to be smaller, but it's pretty much a more powerful Switch. So if you like the Switch 2, like the first Switch, you'll like this one, is what I understand.
Yeah, and I think it's really interesting to see. I'm just going to be more interested to see like what they're going to show off, because I kind of see that they are not really releasing any big games anytime soon, because all they're doing is looks like they're releasing a ton of remasters and remakes at this time.
They did announce today that they will be doing their Nintendo Direct in June during the whole kind of used to be E3 time window. So I don't know what we're going to necessarily see. Maybe they'll show off I don't know what they'll fucking show, but I'm sure we will get, though, like you said, I'm sure we'll get a Breath of the Wild remaster. I'm sure we'll get an Odyssey and all that. But, if you look at the content that came out day one on Switch, it was incredible. I mean, it was like Odyssey. They had a Zelda game that was a remaster. ARMS wasn't great, but it was a new IP. It was a good attempt at something.
Yeah, it was okay. So ARMS was okay.
Yeah, but I'm excited for it. A lot of it is I've been reading this new book on Iwata, and I have just been enjoying this book so much, called The Wisdom of Iwata. And it's just so fascinating to go back through all the stuff that he worked on that I didn't even know he was like a game designer. I just thought he was kind of an executive and it was all Miyamoto, but he contributed so much stuff to the industry in terms of just mechanics. Like, he's the guy that came up with the golf meter, for example, the swing meter that's been used over and over and over. Right. I mean,
I remember on the Wii.
It is insane that his contributions. So I'm kind of getting back into my Nintendo phase. I kind of come in and out of it, but I'm starting to warm back up to those guys. So I'm very much looking forward to it.
Oh yeah, same here. And kind of going back with what's going on with Microsoft now. This is kind of, I mean, it's kind of strange. I know Nintendo America had layoffs, but it seems like what's going on with the gaming industry, they're not really being that affected at all. Mostly
Nintendo.
Yeah, Nintendo. Like, I know they
mean,
have,
they don't, I mean, I'm only guessing, but we know they don't spend as much money on their products. They're still spending more, but you're not Mario, Mario Odyssey or Breath of the Wild was not a $240 million game.
No, it wasn't.
And it was still one of the best games that came out that year. It's just still the best design game. Brilliant fucking game. So, yeah. And look, I mean, they're the smart, the thing is, I love a lot of the Sony first party games. I was there working on Sony first party games. I get it. But Nintendo, above pretty much all the other publishers, genuinely understands the medium better.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
They're not movies. They don't consider themselves storytellers. It's like, no, we are proud and happy to be game makers. We love video games, and it's clear in what they do. If you look at Super Mario Wonder, Super Mario Wonder is just screen after screen after screen of interesting, innovative fucking things to do. That it feels like, if you go back and watch a bunch of old cartoons from Warner Brothers and Disney back, in the 30s to the 60s, there were so many amazing sight gags and little bits and bops that just are classic. That's what Nintendo feels like to me. It's like, it's just we're not going to put something out that's not, I mean, I will say Princess Peach is a little disappointing, but for the most part, they don't put things out that are just kind of like, it's okay. Most things are like, no, they've put some big brains on this shit. I'm a fan, man. I'm looking forward to it. All right, buddy. Yeah. Thank you for the call.
All right, no problem.
See you. All right, there goes JJ. Odyssey was dope, says Darth Nugget. Better than Breath of the Wild. I think they're just very, very different. I mean, I think you have to invest more effort into Breath of the Wild to get a lot out of it. But you know, where the Odyssey is just, you know, it doesn't play itself, but it's very friendly and forgiving and blah blah blah. Okay, let me move the screen off here real quick. You see the Helldivers 2 community manager? We talked about this yesterday. There was a word that he almost got fired. The guy who encouraged fans to kind of review bomb and kind of make a stink. What comes out today, this is from Games Radar. Helldivers 2 community manager seemingly fired after encouraging negative reviews over the canceled PSN mandate. He says, I knew, this is a quote, I knew I was taking a risk with what I said. You know, I mean, that's a tough one. You know, maybe, you know, here's what he says. Here's another quote. He says, generally, it's not a good idea to tell people to refund and leave negative reviews when you're a community manager. Today, I learned that. I appreciate all the support, and I appreciate even more everyone can play the game. I mean, I get it. I think that makes a lot of sense. I appreciate what he did, and I appreciate that passion. But I also think that if you are employing that guy and you're a community manager, that maybe you need to be able to trust him not to sort of go off half-cocked. If anybody on the team you need to be able to trust to just settle and not get caught up in the drama, it's your community manager. So I get it. I get it. But I wonder if he's going to have a hard time getting another job as a community manager, because you know, he's kind of a semi-hero amongst gamers, although really, you know, I guess if he did push for people to get refunds, that's the main thing that mattered. But I don't know if anybody's going to want to hire this guy for anything else. Is Mark Kern taking a victory lap about this, Ravnos? Mark Kern about what? I thought he was wasn't he all up in his pantyhose about Stellar Blade or something? The community manager single-handedly provoked big losses. He should be fired, said Ultra Awesome. Yeah, I know. But again, if he wouldn't have done that, there is an argument to be made that they could have potentially taken bigger losses because people would have just kept refunding it. I don't know. It's not like people needed this guy to say, oh, refunding your game is an option. I mean, people know. It's not like review bombing is something he invented. Fuck Sony, says Brad. They're a bunch of big fat phonies. They're all phonies. Stop. Is this going to be the thing that finally learns you guys this? They're all phonies. It's all PR. It's all PR. I mean, this is why, God, you think when politicians tell you what you want to hear, they really believe what they're saying half the time? Come on. Anyway, thinking about it. I want to read that. I can't read ideas. Was he trying to get people to refund or just get them to shut the fuck up about it in the Discord? I mean, it says in the article that he encouraged negative reviews over the mandate. So I don't know if he necessarily said that I want you guys to refund it, but whatever it was enough that it clearly pissed off some people that it shouldn't have pissed off. But you know, hello, world-renowned GeoHound. Good to see you, buddy. Okay, let's move forward. You're drunk enough to get radicalized tonight. Isn't that something? No, I feel bad. No one's ever tried to radicalize me online. I want to be radicalized. I really don't. By the way, I just want to show you this real quick. We're going to get off this topic, but I do want to show you this real fast. Right here. So this is that thread I was talking about. The indie game I'm making and the inspirations behind it, right? And then the indie games are, you know, some of them are crap, some of them are junk. But you know, the fact of the matter is that the stuff that you're seeing here, and I recommend, I'll put it in the chat if you're curious, but it'll open your eyes even if you don't have any interest in a PC. Again, a lot of this stuff does eventually come onto console. But like, I mean, look at this. Hang on. I mean, come on. If I were to show you this, I'm not, you know, this looks cool, man. I'm not saying it's going to be a great game. I haven't played it. But to look at this and act like, oh, indie games are stupid. I don't want to fucking play. Why? This looks fucking cool. It's a fucking indie game, man. I don't know how many people are making it, but not a lot. Right? So you really, come on, what are you doing? What are you doing? Telling me you wouldn't play this? Oh, you got rocks in your head? This looks awesome. Here's another one. And a lot of these have demos. Look at this fucking one. Shadow of Mammon. Mammon. Look at this fucking thing. Come on now, play. The person making this says it's they're inspired by Vanquish and Metal Gear Solid. They call it a action RPG is what they called it. So, and what do you mean it looks shite? Shut up, you moron, grape. What do you mean it looks like shit? What's wrong with you, man? Seriously, I mean, again, if you are a visual aficionado and that's the main reason you play, like I've said this before, I get that. I respect that. If that's what you are into and that's why you play games, okay, you have a point. These are never going to look as good as the top of the line. But I would argue that most people shouldn't be playing video games if that's why they're playing games, because like we said, I mean, Nintendo, it's amazing. They just focus on the game. Look at this fucking thing. This looks like a Disney cartoon. It's really dark. But this is all real time. Not this. This is a cutscene, but you'll see in a second. And even though they don't get many people watching when I stream them, I'm going to start streaming a lot more indie games. I'm tired of it. I'm tired of people ignoring these. If I can do a tiny little part to help bring some attention to this shit, the ones that are good, of course. But yeah, look at this. Okay, enough with your fucking titles. Let's go. I want to show people the game. Look at the gameplay. It's all gameplay. And if you're listening and not watching, it looks like a Don Bluth game. I mean, the animation it's all 2D, it's all hand drawn, and it's a horror game. And, I don't know, if it's going to be good or not. But again, I mean, there's a lot of things that will be good. Right? That's out there. This is Crow Country that comes out this week. This is inspired by PS1 horror games. Right? I mean, what are we doing? What are we doing? Why are we not jumping for joy over this? This is the most amazing thing, right? There's a demo. You can play demos for most of these. Don Bluth is the guy who wanted to basically be Walt Disney, and he made All Dogs Go to Heaven and American Tail and all that, and Space Ace and Dragon's Lair and all that shit. Laserdisc games, holy, yeah. Let's see where else. Anyway, I just wanted to bring it to your attention. Do with it what you will, but I really do Land Before Time, right? You've been playing the fuck masochista out of Cartel Tycoon. I don't know what that is. Controller Sports says, I only get excited to play games I see advertised on TV. Well, then that ain't much anymore. I played that Cascoder. Mini Shot Adventures is an indie Zelda twin stick for $15. It has a demo that carries progress. I didn't vibe with it, but I definitely know what you're talking about. I've played it. I played the demo. I appreciated what it was, but a lot of it is I'm just not good at bullet hell games. Thank you for that, Stephen Hawkins. I appreciate that very much. Nice thing. I don't even want to read it because it'll be toot my own horn, but I appreciate that. Yeah. Hey, Bookster, the Zao Tales of Kinzaru is really good. It gets a little repetitive. It gets a little repetitive in the level design. I'm only in the second act. There's 4 acts, but I'm vibing with that as well. It's good stuff. Listen to this. I'll save that. That's a story for tomorrow. Hang on. Hang on. I'll save some of this shit. Yeah, I'm tired. I'll go to the chat. I'll talk about whatever you guys want to for a little bit, then we'll wrap it up. I really would like to stream earlier, but it's difficult these days to get to bed early. I'm playing so many games. Jaffe's headset looks about $10 from AliExpress. It was from Amazon, and it was probably like $20, $25, super cheap. I don't care. Works fine. Death Wish Enforcers. I haven't seen that. Hang on, let me look that up. Death Wish Enforcers. Hang on. Death Wish Enforcers. All right, fellas, this is 33% off. It's on sale right now. Let's check it out. That's kind of cool. It is a gritty nonstop bloodbath from the creators of Insanity's Blade, Super Battle Princess, and Guardgrave, a parody of beloved 60s, 70s action films. Action, arcade, 2D, shoot 'em up, retro. That's cool. I'm in. It's all exploitation-y and shit. A lot of sexy ladies running around. Cool. Ooh, I'm picking this up. Is it online? Can you play online? Oh, you guys can't even see it. God damn it, Maverick. Hang on. Let me fix that for you. Let me provide a service for you guys that that you'll be proud to say that you partake in. Look at this fucking thing. This is called what is this called? Super Enforcer something. Here we go. Come on now. Right? I mean, this is cool. Look at that. It's awesome. I'm so in. You can do it through Steam Link if you want to do multiplayer. Okay. Yeah, I'm totally buying this right after I hang up or turn off the stream. This looks fun. I wish more of this had online. I know online adds the cost, but these games are so much about playing with friends. Drake versus Kendrick Lamar. I'm not even paying attention to it. I barely know any of their music. I'm too old to give a fuck about that stuff. I don't care. I saw there was a shooting outside one of his homes or Drake's home, but it wasn't, he didn't get shot. And was it related? I don't know. I don't care. I don't mean that like you shouldn't care. I'm not mocking it. I'm just saying that I don't have any frame of reference. If it was Taylor Swift and like, you know, fighting with Rihanna, okay, maybe I'd pay attention. But Wayne, thank you for the super chat. He says, why hasn't Sony made a new Twisted? Are they allergic to money? No, they're not allergic to money. The issue is they want to make money and they know, okay, that's $13. That's not bad. Positive reviews. See, this was great too. You don't get this. You get this on Xbox. You certainly don't get this on Sony. You can refund it after 2 hours if you don't like it, before 2 hours. And people can type and actually express what's good and what's bad about it, which is excellent. You know, the deal is, when it comes to printing money, being allergic to money, is it's not that, it's that it's very difficult for anyone to understand why that particular franchise would make any more money, is what I would say. So it's just a lot of people say it, but there's really, it's really difficult to see a path to success with that unless you really spend a lot of money to make it so different that it probably wouldn't want to call it Twisted Metal. I think the IP is valuable. I think the TV show shows that. Stephen Hawking says, and thank you for being a member, buddy. 25 months. I appreciate that. He says, you see my post on your Twitter? No, showing how you can play Twisted Metal and Twisted Metal 2 on the new Nintendo 3DS via RetroArch. It is awesome. Interesting. I mean, can you play it multiplayer? Because I mean, I can play it on my PS5. I have it, but yeah, I mean, look, man, but I appreciate that. Thank you, Stephen. I didn't see your tweet, but I haven't looked at my Twitter in a little bit. Do you think a retro style Twisted Metal game with an ultra low budget could be viable? Says Vitaphone. I don't think they would do it. But I do think there is, and there are people who have tried it out. Hell, Warhammer put out a car combat game recently, which was, you know, I played it. It was okay. I mean, there's every couple of years there's somebody trying to make a go with car combat. But the real problem, as I've said ad nauseum, is just that there's not a lot that anyone has brought to it that's innovative. But this is called it's a video game, Speed Freaks, right? So Speed Freaks is what it's called. I'll just show it to you while we're chatting. You know, and it was, you know, it was low budget, and I'm sure they had planned on making it a service game where you could buy skins and cars and all that shit. But ultimately, though, it was the same problem. It was, you know, you're just pounding on the fire button, waiting for your specials to regenerate. There's so much more tactical and strategic and tactical moment-to-moment gameplay that you get with characters that have a larger suite of moves, that it's just, I don't see it working. But the TV show I think is getting a season. We know it's getting a season 2. I think they're shooting it right now. I think it will be for Peacock a successful show. They might even be a third and fourth. I mean, it might be a good long run, but I don't think it's ever going to be the kind of show that brings the franchise back as a car combat game. Maybe, doubtful, but maybe as an IP. But who knows? Fabio, I'm not going to read. I'm not reading your comment. You can't give me ideas. I won't read them. I don't care what your idea is. I don't make games anymore, but it's legally fraught for me to read and recognize ideas. So the minute I see that you're starting to pitch one, or anyone's starting to pitch one, I just kind of move away. Zeke says Bump and Jump was the shit. I loved Bump and Jump. That was pretty fucking awesome. Absolutely. Okay, fellas, that's it for Gabbing and Games Live. I'll be back later in the week, maybe even tomorrow, depending on what happens in the world of video games. There's always shit happening. Well, Steven says, I think it's funny as hell that Jaffe's so woke, but he doesn't make woke games. I love how he doesn't allow that to influence his ideas. But it's totally not true, though. It's just that my idea of woke is not always your idea of woke, or the general pop's idea of woke, right? So, for example, Drawn to Death was absolutely filled with vulgarity and sexuality, and I loved it. And I would do it again. And I would do God of War the same way again. But in Drawn to Death, when it was pointed out to me that a Native American's costume needed to be kind of put through some research, because the actual I know they're not called hieroglyphics, but the iconography on Native American garb, it wasn't just visual. It meant something to the culture. And so I was like, oh, okay, yeah, let's do that. Of course. I don't want to be disrespectful. So, but my version of woke is just like, be nice to everybody and don't be an asshole unless they're pricks to you. But I know that that's not everybody's version of woke. So, all right, there you go, buddies and budetties. Did you hear that? Thank you, RPG. Thank you, RPG. Listen to this, though. Kirkland doesn't energize me. Look at the times those streams were done where we did 4-hour streams. They're either earlier or they're later at night when I've gotten my second wind. That's what it is. Me streaming in the afternoon is a nightmare. Late afternoon, because I'm tired, and I haven't got my second wind yet. But yeah, where's Kirkland? Come on in, Kirkland. I'll bring you on. I always bring Kirkland on. He's a funny dude. I want to talk to him about the new Marvel Snap shit. Same reason the average dudes hang out with ugly bros. What? I don't understand. Anyway, point being is be well, be safe, and thanks for hanging out. Thanks for the super chats. Consider a membership. Consider subscribing to the show. Consider telling your friends about the show. Consider taking your clothes off and sliding around on a patch of ice when it's really cold outside. All those things are important.